Your Excellency, what I am carrying in my hand is not a speech, because I only got to know that I was going to speak when the speaker called me this morning and said she would not be able to make it here in time and I should come in. What I'm carrying in my hand, Your Excellency, is a declaration of all countries of Africa, the Pacific, and the Caribbean, expressing solidarity with you upon signing the anti-homosexuality bill. Your Excellency, you recall my rather desperate phone call which I made to you on the night of the 13th of this month, when I was accosted by a resolution from the European Parliament making certain attacks on the sovereignty of this country. Your Excellency, in my desperate phone call to you, you gave me the assuring words and the courage to move on. I immediately deployed my members and we declared war in all fronts to defend the position that this country had taken and the sovereign right of this country to defend its people's aspirations and desires. We won the battle in Strasbourg, France. Your Excellency, we saw the response of the Europeans and other peoples of the world on the decision that this country had taken, not only as a promotion of what they call human rights, not only as a matter of aid, but we saw that first, Your Excellencies, as an attack on the parliamentary democracy of countries. Because we saw that these countries are now beginning to say, no parliament can enact any legislation unless those legislations are approved by the Western world. We resented this, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, we advance the argument that the interpretation of human rights and the question of values of societies are for those societies. Nobody can import value on another country. We took this to be an attack on the values that this country holds dear to its heart. Your Excellency, we resented this onslaught on our cultural values. Your Excellency, we took this also as an attack on the sovereignty of Uganda as a country. And on this, we were not willing to relent. On this, we persuaded countries of the world, 80 countries, to support us in this resolution. Your Excellency, we also declared in Strasbourg that we have done research. We are not just acting as erroneous people, backward people. We have done research in the modern world using modern facilities, and we have come to this conclusion. One, that there is no consensus even among scientists whether homosexuality is genetic. So who are we to adopt a unanimous position that homosexuality is genetic when the scientists who do these investigations are not agreed on that subject? Your Excellency, in my discussion with you, you told me you had even invited people from the United States. And if it was explained to you that homosexuality was indeed genetic, that homosexuality was indeed something like the albino phenomenon we have, then there would have been some consideration. But the scientists were unanimous that homosexuality was not genetic. So who are we to say it is genetic? Your Excellency, countries around the world are not agreed on certain values. Countries around the world, including the United States of America, there are still prohibitions of acts of homosexuality. Who is the United States to tell us what to do when in its own country, in the United States itself, there are variations of these exceptions? Your Excellency, even big democracies have these variations. We were therefore not able to comprehend the pressure that was being imposed upon us as to why we must at this moment accept things that are alien to our societies, and therefore we stand with you, Your Excellency. For the avoidance of doubt, Your Excellency, we know that on the 28th 2 days ago in this country, consultations began with Uganda. Dialogue began with Uganda and the European Union on this subject. We are also aware, Your Excellency, that tomorrow you will be addressing the Africa-European Union Summit in Brussels. We want you to go, Your Excellency, knowing that this country, and not only this country, the entire population of this country, and not only the population in this country, the entire body politic of all the countries of Africa who are members of the ACP, all the countries of the Caribbean, and all the countries of the Pacific agree with you. Declaration of the African, Caribbean, and Pacific Parliamentary Assembly on the resolution adopted by the European Parliament with regard to Uganda and Nigeria. The Parliamentary Assembly of the African, Caribbean, and Pacific Group of States, meeting at its 35th session in Strasbourg, France, on the 14th and the 19th of March 2014. Having regard to the European Parliament resolution of 13th March 2014 on initiating consultation to suspend Uganda and Nigeria from the Cotonou Agreement in view of recent legislation further criminalizing homosexuality in the two countries. Having regard to the resolution on challenges to the democratic accommodation of ethnic, cultural, and religious diversity in ACP and European Union countries adopted by the ACP European Union Joint Parliamentary Assembly in Prague on the 4th of April 2009. Whereas as many as 76 countries in the world consider homosexuality a crime, with the 5 countries foreseeing the death penalty for such crime. Considering that one of the universally held cardinal principles of democracy is to accept differing opinions on matters of principle, and that democracy and human rights do not allow forceful imposition of unilateral points of view by one country of another sovereign country. Whereas the laws passed in Uganda and Nigeria were proposed by democratically elected parliamentarians and complied with all the necessary legislative procedures, including consultations with a cross-section of their population, conscious of the need to respect the rule of law and the right of sovereign governments and their democratic institutions, notably their legislative institutions, to reflect and respect the will of their people. Whereas a number of member states of the European Union, among which the Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, as well as other countries such as the United States of America and Norway, have decided to either withhold aid directed to Ugandan government or redirect aid away from the government to civil society. 80 countries of Africa, the Caribbean, and the Pacific have expressed solidarity with you